welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to another edition of The Blackout. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, good people, I am in airplane mode, and I am joined by my co-host, who is the biggest, the meanest, the strongest, the blackest, the murder nerd himself, a man who will tie you into a pretzel using your own arms and then just crush you. I am talking about the heavyweight champion of kick-ass, Robert.
All right, that was a
motherfucking Reed.
That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a new one.
And gang, for the first time, we are joined by a very special guest. I am talking about Party, say that you remember. Party, dancing in September. It's Ember. Yeah, we up in here.
Here we go.
But yeah, man, Ember, I think outside of my one black friend who's technically a co-host, I think you're like our first guest, man. It's cool. This is big. It's a big deal. But yeah, man, want to thank you so much. Check out Ember's channel. Actually, somebody drop a link to Ember's channel. But yeah, Ember had Uncle Bobby on for an interview. He had me on for an interview. So we had to return the favor over here and have Ember on with us.
We have a white guy on the blackout.
He's
our affirmative action hire.
There we go.
We have the quota system.
Yes, you are the first white guy on the blackout. That's hilarious. And
I'm the
also
token Caucasian.
I was about to say, now we get to say, hey, I've got a white friend.
Exactly, my one white friend. So we're also going to mix it up today and do something a bit different. We are all counter apologists, and we take down religions on the daily, usually Christianity. But they're not the only people out there that are sitting on some bullshit. They're not the only con artists in the game. So today we're going to look at a documentary about new age gurus. A different class of shysters of a slightly different bent. But yeah, I'm actually really excited. I was like, what can we do that's different? It's going, we throw something different at them. Let's mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Y'all ready to jump into this thing?
And let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Let's see if we can get the protocol here correct.
No, you fucked that one up.
All right, so first we gotta Autobots transform.
1.
Then we gotta roll out.
2.
Then we have to blow up Shuate.
Nailed it. A+.
Got it.
All right, and now we can roll this fucked up ass tape.
Let's do it.
Before we begin, it's important that I emphasize a few disclaimers. By no means am I calling the individuals mentioned in this video scammers. Consider what you are about to see a criticism of their business practices and promoted ideologies, not an incitement of harassment or hate. I have no way of knowing their true intentions. It is entirely possible that those mentioned have created their teachings with good intent, no matter how misguided those teachings have become. And whilst I will be including sources to back up every claim that I make, treat this video as my own opinion and conclusions surrounding the subject of New Age spirituality and New Thought related ideas. Now, to those
I'm gonna just pause this real quick and say this is where the R and Ra if you don't show it, if you can't show it, you don't know it comes in.
Yep.
Because we have the same issue with apologists. Like I just don't have the time or the resources or the information to determine who really buys into their own nonsense and who is kind of just going along with the grift. I just hope that in the future we work towards a society where demanding that empirical evidence or demanding that a person at least be able to show you something to back up their claims becomes the norm rather than something that people are offended by.
It's fucked up, ain't it? Again, but it is, it's considered almost offensive to ask people like this to back their claims. Somehow you were able to tell that lady over there that, if you put all of your money in XYZ, it's going to turn into $14 million. Yeah, show your work. But it's when we start talking about God claims and the supernatural and this new age stuff and tea leaves and chicken feet and all this other stuff, it's the only time we're asking you to back your claim seems to be the most fucked up of the two options.
Yeah, believe what I say, or your soul will go to hell, or not reincarnate, or whatever the case may be. But how dare you ask me to, prove what I'm saying is true, or even give you a reason to think so?
What kind of fucked up shit are you sitting on?
Yeah, isn't the threat enough for you? What else do you need?
Absolutely. And Stephanie Helm said every age seems to have a new age. Actually, it's the same old shit. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think it's deeply ingrained in us because before we had medicine and sort of the benefits of the Enlightenment and all of that, these traditional like things that we would consider woo-woo, that was their medicine. That is what they believed on. That's all they had. I guess we could say for a lot of human history, most people were getting by on the placebo effect. But I do think it makes it deeply ingrained in our culture. All right, somebody drop the link for Ember's channel, and I'm gonna add it to the description as well.
Think I am criticizing anyone who is trying to make money, you have misunderstood my position. One look at my channel will show you I have no problem with somebody making money. However, I do take issue with the context surrounding how they make their money.
A lot of people actually were in my group were attending the events, the courses, in a hope to make money so that they could feed their family, but unfortunately they have lost it. So
New Age spirituality has seen incredible growth in the mainstream, having a huge influence on the self-help industry thanks to figures like Napoleon Hill, Rhonda Byrne, and others who I will be discussing further. But what seemingly goes unnoticed is the booming business behind it that I think does more harm than good.
When you recognize your vibrational frequency, you're drawing into yourself all the time, literally, the vibration that is most like what you're putting out. Right.
There was a woman who had cancer who refused medical treatment because she believed in the secret.
In this video, we'll take a look at some of its most influential figures, its roots, and how it is fundamentally built from a flawed and dangerous disregard for reality. Now, it would be impossible for me to cover the entirety of the New Thought movement in just one video. So bear in mind that there will be influential figures in this industry that I fail to mention or decide to cut. However, I want you to take notice of the patterns. From multi-level marketing, to scammers, to self-help, to pseudoscience, to subtle deception. I'll aim to demonstrate why I think New Age spirituality has inherently allowed itself to become the perfect grift.
Yeah, what he's talking about, they're all related. Like the MLM thing that he mentions, they're all related. When I was younger, I got snared into one of those stupid MLMs. It wasn't presented that way. It was like, this is a real sales job kind of thing. But that's exactly what it was. And, they give you the same kinds of talking points. Like, you just gotta believe. You gotta keep trying. Law of averages. Yep. Knock on more doors and you'll eventually find sales and all that crap. And it's infuriating. It's so much like just a few seconds ago we mentioned this person who refused medical treatment. because she believed in The Secret. What she means by that is the thing from the book The Secret, that you can manifest anything into reality. And yeah, I've seen people who they don't put it in those terms, but what it amounts to is thoughts and bears. Is they just want to thoughts and bears things into existence, and nothing has ever been demonstrated to work that way. It's why?
That's sad. The hope to believe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's refusing cancer treatments, refusing blood transfusions, all on the hope of some magical. It's like, I don't know what. I guess it works on people that want that stuff to work, and no shade thrown on them, because we all have that one soft spot that someone can take advantage of. But yeah, it's just, I would say, what do you get out of that for biting on that?
Yeah.
Especially when it's something as big as cancer treatments.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think it's the same type of people. I think the same people who are vulnerable to religion and you know, they kind of have that spiritual mindset. They're already kind of buying into the idea that things have special powers or special properties or can be imbued with magic. And so it tends to bleed over. And I think we see that now where I think like Betsy DeVos, whoever was running Trump's whole
Department of
Education and doing all the right, where they made their money with Amway. Damn. And I remember my great grandfather, before he passed, he was a bishop, but he was always like part of the next pyramid scheme. At one point, he was trying to do vitamins. Then he was trying to do these other supplements, and you know, it was like he was always falling for some get rich quick scheme. And the thing too is it makes you kind of burden your family and friends, because those are the people you typically start with.
Oh, sure.
When you start to build your thing up. I remember I fell into the whole Cutco knives thing at one point when I was in college. And it's like a multi-level marketing, but you sell knives basically.
Oh wow.
They're super expensive knives. And I remember having to like try to do this whole sales presentation for like people in my church. And so you have these like unsuspecting people in your church who, you know, it's hard for them to say no to a young person. They're just trying to help you out or do you a favor. And then you're like giving them this like sleazy sales pitch. It's just, yeah, the whole thing was cringe. It's just a mess.
Okay.
Oh, Sumami did Cutco as a freshman. Yeah. It's funny too, because I didn't even want the sales job. I actually wanted to be like a receptionist, or so. I just wanted to like answer the phone and make an hourly wage and go home. And then they kind of duped me into taking the sales gig.
Because they're good at what they do.
Exactly.
They're very good at selling, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. $2,000 knife sets.
Damn.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Me too. All right, here's what I want to talk about today. Working in an office.
Yeah, Steph got the sales pitch.
All-wheel drive, a premium navigation.
This low everyday price is here to stay.
We'll get you approved in 30 minutes or less. I guarantee it.
Did I know at the time, out of my greatest despair, was to come the greatest gift. I couldn't believe all the people who knew this. They were the greatest people in history. I began searching for people alive today who know the secret.
You know, this secret gives you everything you want.
In 2006, Rhonda Byrne released her film, The Secret, a film that promised to change your life, featuring various gurus who promoted an idea that could bring you health, wealth, and happiness. That idea was the law of attraction.
Everything that's coming into your life, you are attracting into your life. And it's attracted to you by virtue of the images you're holding in your mind.
Oh, that shit pisses me off.
Suggested being overweight came from thinking.
Yeah, and this is people are still big into this. You hear this come up. This
one I don't know.
People talk about the law of attraction as though it were a law of nature, like as though they're talking about gravity or chemistry or something. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know, law of attraction. It's
yeah. I know people who are like seriously into manifesting. They're like, well, haven't you ever like wished upon a shooting star for something and then it came true? That's all we're talking about. And I'm like, that's not all you're talking about. This bullshit goes a step further. It says whatever's in your life, you brought there. If you get mugged in Central Park, you caused it to happen somehow.
Right.
And that is
that
infuriating
karma?
Bullshit. It's not even like classical karma, actual Hindu karma is the stuff you do in this life will be reflected in the next life. There's this Western idea of instant karma, that the shit you do comes back to you in this life, but that's not how karma traditionally works.
Okay, because I'm looking up the definition. Oh God, are the positive thoughts and actions reap positive? Okay, that just sounds terrible.
Yeah,
this right here is exactly what it is I have against the concept of karma. Kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, kind of, what goes around comes around. You do something positive comes back to you, negative to negative. And it's like, that always sounds good when your long lost uncle that you've never met dies and leaves you $5 million. You're like, well, I must have done something great. But then you're like, well, okay, the person that just had something real fucked up happen to them, like all those Catholic sex crime survivors. What did they do? What did that 12-year-old boy do in this life or the previous that said, you know what's going to happen to you as a result? That. And I'm sitting here looking at the definition of the law of attraction. It's like, okay, great. I saved Buddy, so my next door neighbor just randomly drops off a bottle of my favorite alcohol. Oh, law of attraction. But when something bad happens to me, it's like, well, what just slung around and slapped me in my face from my past?
Yeah. And just like religious exploitation, it really does form a cycle of, like, I think, self-harm to the person who believes it. Because just like when something doesn't go right in your faith journey, you're basically told, well, you didn't believe the right way, or you didn't have enough faith. It's sort of the same thing, to where when you don't have something go the way you want it to, when you can't attract what you've been thinking about or trying to manifest, you're going to blame yourself. So yeah, I think the parallels are just going to be right there. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
It's the most horrible way to think of anything. You know, everything that doesn't come to you, it's your fault because you didn't pray hard enough. Or if anything bad happens to you, it's your fault too, because you deserved it.
Damn.
Yeah.
And conversely, any horrible person who happens to be successful in a way that you think is successful, like a really, really rich person who is also full of bigotry, hatred, and, you know, tries to overthrow your government, for example, he must be a really good person because look at all the wonderful things that have manifested into his life.
Jesus. Okay, that's why I stay by myself.
All right, here we go.
Come on.
Fat thoughts. Or that the only reason a person does not have enough money
sorry, just want to say yes, Liz Allen, new age, name it and claim it. Exactly.
is because they are blocking money from coming to them with their own thoughts.
The secret is the law of attraction.
It was a feel-good message. The film exceeded $65 million in sales and became something of a cultural phenomenon.
Buy my
Have you
DVDs.
heard about it? This is The Secret. Talk about this DVD has been spreading around the world.
I had friends that were telling me that The Secret is real.
Girl I knew sent me a book called The Secret. She was like, listen, David, this is going to help you.
But what you are also witnessing here is the success of another kind. A success at rebranding an idea that had been cultivated for many years before Burns' film. Fast forward to present day, and you'll find no shortage of gurus promoting these same rehashed ideas.
The moment you start feeling abundant and worthy, you are generating wealth.
3 law of attraction truths that I wish I knew earlier.
Whatever you can see in your mind,
you can hold in your hand, whether you want to be a millionaire, whether you
7 steps to speed up the law of attraction using your spiritual powers.
Here we establish the first
tell me
pattern
more
of
about
its
my
industry,
powers.
Targeting a vulnerable audience.
I don't like
Those
this
who are
at all.
struggling financially, having relationship problems, or suffering from a disease are particularly favorable. Or perhaps
Sorry, I got to pause this right here. This is because this is something that is exactly what religion does. Is it targets the most vulnerable at their weakest. And I even saw this with COVID, where one of my mom's friends was talking about rubbing like menthol or eucalyptus leaves on her chest or whatever, as like, and it's just like, look, this is a very tough time, but we don't need people turning to alternative medicines right now. But yeah, it's just really sad how this type of thing exploits people at their worst.
This is pissing me off because these are cheap shots. These are cheap shots. If you can push some bullshit like this, how do I say this? You know good. I have to believe that you know good and goddamn well you are targeting the vulnerable. Again, we all have our soft spots. We all have a button that someone else can push. But that shit that those advertise, manifest. You got to know, not unless there's some sort of mental pathology. You got to know you're pushing bullshit on people that are going to bite on it. You know what I mean? Right. Like you said with COVID, you can get the shot, you can wash your hands, you can social distance, you can wear the mask, or you can rub eucalyptus on your cock, and that should about cure COVID. For every 10 people that say, you know what, stop, there's a one person that's going to do it. Right. Right. And that's the reason why COVID just keeps, running rampant. Right. Get the shot. Aaron Rodgers decided to get ivermectin because Joe Rogan told him to. I just hate shit like this because you're lying. There's a part of the people pushing this law of attraction, the secret. No, you're lying. You're lying.
Yeah. The other thing is the power of celebrity, right? Is you get a couple celebrities to buy into this nonsense. I hate to say it, but like Oprah's show was a big platform for a lot of this type of stuff. That, that sort of credibility that people assume just because it was on Oprah, just because, a famous athlete or celebrity told them it works for them, that now takes that 1 out of 10 people who are going to bite into it and makes it 10,000 out of 1 million that are going to bite into it because it was on Good Morning America. You know what I mean?
I remember when I was
more credible. I was just saying it makes it seem more credible.
Oh, it totally does. Well, it's the herd mentality. I was just left my parents' house, and my mom kept everything. And the first supplement I ever bought, she kept the box because I've always been fascinated with muscle. And so it was a fat burner. And I look back then and I think about all the thousands of dollars I've spent at GNCs and stuff like that, buying supplements when I look like the guys in the magazine. And when you asked a person, the 20-year-old without the nutrition license or anything like that, does this work? I still remember what every single last one of those people said. Everyone's buying it. That was their response every single time. A weight gainer, a protein shake, a fat burner. You want to hear about the science behind it. How does it work? And they always said the same thing. Everyone is buying it. I'll never forget that.
Wow, that's such profound response.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And I think that's what gets people with religion too, right? Their families into it, their friends are into it, they come up into the community, and then you believe, how could it be wrong if literally everyone's buying it?
Yep.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's also that strong cultural underpinning. Like he's saying, it's not all that different from what the televangelists say. Like send me your money and then God will do for you. Like, send me every last penny, send me your ice cream money, send me your rent check. And then that's how you sow a seed, and that's how you bring the power of the Spirit. And, people who aren't desperate enough or gullible enough to fall for that, they go, no, that's bullshit. But then they hear this after that, and they're like, oh, this sounds like that, but it's more reasonable. By comparison, it's more reasonable. So therefore, it's less irrational to believe this thing.
Yeah. And I feel like I also got to kind of throw life coaches and dating coaches under the bus here too. Because I was definitely into that when I was a young adult, because you're a young man, right? You're a young person, right? You're a young person. Sure. You're trying to figure out, how to get better at meeting people. How to be more confident, how to avoid rejection, things that really hurt and are, difficult to deal with. And you get these people that sell you this, I've got the magic formula, I've got the magic touch, so to speak. And yeah, you end up buying into this stuff, and it ends up just being an endless chain of products. I always say, like, with the, we could start with like something like double your dating. It's that sounds pretty cool. But then you gotta figure out how to meet women at bars and clubs. Once you don't know how to meet women in bars and clubs, you got to buy a book just specific for that. Oh, you figured out how to meet women in bars and clubs. But what about day game? You can't walk up to a woman in a coffee shop at 3:00 in the afternoon the same way you'd approach at 10:00 at night at the club. Are you serious? What about how to find a girlfriend? You figured out how to hook up with people, but aren't you realizing that's getting boring? Don't you need to figure out how to make her marry you? Now you got a girlfriend.
Ew.
Salesmanship.
It's just literally this never-ending cycle. And these dudes were running it like mega churches too. Like, what they would do is they would take a middling like hotel or something like that, where you get a little like a seminar room or something like that, like a conference room, right? And what they would do, rent that out for the afternoon or pretty much the weekend. That probably cost a couple grand. And they would charge dudes thousands of dollars to fly in from all over the world to fill this room and attend that shop. I mean, just printing money. Then they would record the audio and the video and charge you like several $100s if you wanted the audio of everything that happened, and more than 500, sometimes like $800 if you wanted the video series of everything that happened. I mean, it was the same thing where it's just like this never-ending grift, and dudes were getting rich off other people being vulnerable and insecure. So
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like secular prosperity gospel. Exactly.
100%.
Perhaps you're just searching for answers. This idea, this law of attraction, seems to serve up answers in such a simple yet idealistic way.
And the truth is, you can actually get whatever you want in life. Whatever you can see in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Whether you want to be a millionaire, whether you want to
give you 3 ways to manifest money within 24 hours.
How would you like to get your ex back? The law of attraction may be the power you need.
When you're vulnerable or desperate, critical thinking is dulled, and feeling and emotion cloud your decision-making abilities. So when you're presented this secret, a secret that promises to change your life with so little effort, who could possibly fault you for wanting to believe? The bait has been set, but you have to understand, the law of attraction is only one branch of a bigger belief system. To understand the problems with the ideas Rhonda presented, you have to examine the roots of where it all began. From here, you can trace the same patterns and the influence it's having over the gurus we see today.
Okay, so he's going to go into a historical thing, and I'm sure this will be fascinating and really enlightening, but you don't even have to go that far to see the problems. Like the sample video and the production value this dude did in his documentary is tremendous. But when that scene where he's got the hand held out and it flashes dreams and you can have anything you want. And the voice in the background says, if you want to be a millionaire, well, that should be a thing we could test, right? Like,
yes,
everybody and their brother, of course we want to be a millionaire because you need to have money to, like, not die in this society. All the people who really, really want to be millionaires, how many of us are millionaires? Does this shit work? I'm not seeing it.
Yes.
It does not work. It does not.
And it's a really good point, because almost everybody wants those things. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to have, attractive, beautiful, perfect partners and wonderful kids and, the great job. And there's a whole thing there too, right? There's a whole branch of these gurus that are just meant to like sell you on, the 4-hour work week, or how to get rich and just working 2 hours a day from home, and
and the fact they'll throw out anything they can think of as a possibility should be another clue that what they're selling isn't fucking real. But also that whole thing with getting exes back, like my instinctive thing was ew, because that's controlling other people. But what about what they want? What if they're manifesting something else and you're manifesting them? Who wins? What spiritual force decides?
That's the prayer dilemma. The bride and groom, they want a perfect day for their wedding. Not a drop of rain, not a cloud in the sky, but one zip code over, a farmer is praying for rain. The crops is how this person feeds their family. Now, if it doesn't rain that day, the bride and groom get what they want, the farmer gets fucked out of income. Or the farmer gets the rain, saves their crops, but the bride and groom. So it's like, whose prayers got answered? What you said was fucking brilliant, right? He's like, oh, I want my ex back. While your ex was like, please let this motherfucker die of a stroke right here, right now.
Yes.
Whose prayers get answered? Put your hand out and manifest. But what does that person want?
I was just watching some bare knuckle boxing over the weekend, and one of the guys came out and he had his cross tattoo on him and everything was Jesus and scriptures and all this. Probably some Jesus tattoo on his back. And when I tell you my man got knocked out, I mean, he was down for the full 10 count. I couldn't help but being like, I bet you he's not going to be up there thanking his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on the mic.
Hell no.
Because when they win, it's not me. It's my glory is through him who has worked in me. And Jesus just put the lightning in my fist, but not today. But that's what we always say, counting the hits and ignoring the misses, right?
Absolutely.
Sharpshooter's fallacy.
The New Thought movement was centered around a few key ideas. That we and everything in existence are essentially God, or at least we all have some level of divinity.
I think that YouTube punk, I think that was Chemo, the Hawaiian guy.
Oh yeah, the one that used to carry the cross.
Yeah, that was
Chemo.
In the early days of USC.
Yes.
Wilding.
Like the first couple, and he actually came out to the ring carrying a cross behind him.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was
and the armor of God protected him very well, I'm sure.
He was tough. He was tough, but I do think he came out. He had to come out at least once with that thing and lose.
Oh fuck yeah.
Divinity within us. Positive thinking has the power to carry forth manifestations into the material world. New Thought's supposed origins travel back to a man named Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, an American clockmaker born in 1802. Quimby became interested in the idea of using the mind as a way of curing people from illness and disease, after he himself had supposedly recovered from tuberculosis through his own healing methods. His philosophy became the basis for New Thought. Quimby's teachings inspired many other authors and so-called philosophers to continue spreading and expanding on his message and the overall New Thought movement. In those years, New Thought focused on our mind's ability to heal us from illness and disease. It emphasized intuition, feeling, and anecdotal evidence rather than empirical science-based evidence. It wasn't, however, until the 20th century where the New Thought movement extrapolated this into wealth creation. The ideology is perfect. If our thoughts had the power to quite literally change the material world, surely they could manifest wealth too. Then, a man named Napoleon Hill came right out of the blue with his first book, The Law of Success, and a decade later, his best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich. Up to this point, it's nigh impossible to tell what the intentions of most New Thought authors were. The ideas they presented in their works were logically flawed in many areas.
Okay. I think that's one of those every lie begins in a truth. I 100% believe in the power of positive thinking. I do. But that positive thinking leads to positive actions. That's why your positive thoughts work out, right? I will get that 500-pound bench. I will get that 500-pound bench. Then you take the steps and you go to the powerlifting meet. Bam. So the two kind of walk hand in hand. I think what these fuck faces are trying to get at is like some real Jedi mind trick shit, where as long as you just have it in here, it's going to manifest. And it's like positive thoughts walk hand in hand with positive actions. And so they're right at their foundation, but I think the way they're spinning it is as long as you just sit your ass on the couch and think about it, the good shit will come. And it's like, no, the two walk hand in hand. So I think they're telling the truth, but they're also lying. What's that?
It's like that old adage, wish in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up first. Like, you have to actually do shit for shit to happen.
Absolutely.
It's fucking crazy.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Also,
yeah.
This stuff wasn't happening in a vacuum, right? It wasn't just, a couple of coincidences, therefore magic powers. This was right smack dab in the middle of the spiritualist movement. After the Great Awakening, people were like, there's ghosts, and, the Fox sisters were running around being mediums, and you have the big old seances were all the rage. People believed in all kinds of non-empirical shit, which made this much more believable, because there was a whole supernatural aspect to American life at the time.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it is an interesting thing, because in a sense, I think it, like you said, is that little bit of truth in everything, because positive thinking is kind of important, right? Like it's important that, we all are facing challenges currently, right? And you can either like sit around and wallow in it, which tends to be unproductive, or you can, make the most of it, try to find the silver lining, try to remain optimistic, keep looking for opportunities. And those are important coping skills. And so it sort of takes that important coping skill and then pushes it into the extreme. And I think also it's usually sort of like prayer. If you're gonna pray to help me out, oh Lord, I wake up in the morning, God, I wish I could just help Jay out with this thing he needs. All right, and then you're gonna leave your house and go do it. Well, then fine. But if you're just gonna pray and then not do anything, save it. And exactly. I think so much of what the New Age gurus were doing, it's sort of that intellectual act of wishing. It's the same thing as prayer. It's like wishful thinking, but then there's no talk about how to follow through with it. I'm sure they can point to the anecdotes of this guy who thought and grew rich, or this person who manifested a better relationship. But when you get down to most of those cases, you'll find out, that person went to the gym, they got their shit together, they learned some social skills, and then they ended up with a great partner. This person over here, they were thinking about growing rich, but they were also, saving their money to start their first business, and then they got a loan in the bank, and then and it's sort of like, just like religion, when it works, it just walks hand in hand with reality.
Yeah, conversely, religious people are vulnerable to this as well, because of that whole thoughts and bears thing. You know, they get told by their pastors, oh, this is in God's hands. You need to just pray and let God deal with it. Like, that's why we have the ongoing, mass gun issue crisis thing. I'm not sure which terms are YouTube has banned this week, so we have to be oblique about it.
Right.
But you gotta just pray about it. Don't take any real action. And it's like that with so many things in the religious side of life. So when they see this kind of crap with the, don't try on your own, you're powerless to do anything about it, just use sorcery and witchcraft and shit will just come to you like actual magic. Sure, it's the same thing, just with, in fact, I've seen Answers in Genesis did a video specifically about this. They were saying it's like praying, but without God, and that's what makes it wicked. I'm like, the fact that it's total bullshit isn't a problem for you. It's that there's no God in the picture.
Right.
You didn't hang your bullshit on a deity. Your bullshit is deity free.
Absolutely.
There's your problem. God damn.
Some of which I have already discussed in the first installment of this series, others of which we will get into soon. But it's when we get to figures like Napoleon Hill that the lines between good intentions and con artistry are blurred. Because Hill had an immense influence over many of the New Thought law of attraction gurus that have come since, having had his works promoted and circulated in countless business and self-help circles. I promise you, if you yourself haven't heard of this book, you know someone who has. But my question to you now is, how much do you really know about Napoleon Hill? Because if we take a dive into Hill's past, we notice that the reputation he's acquired amongst the New Thought movement is not at all what it seems. On the contrary, his true narrative is one of failed businesses, fraud, and grossly exaggerated achievements.
Shocking. Didn't see that coming.
Right?
Think and Grow Rich echoes much of the New Thought sentiment, especially when it comes to the pursuit of riches, highlighting how our thoughts and our desires can be transmuted into their financial equivalent. Hill even goes as far as to use examples in which thoughts have been able to cure deafness, including his own sons.
The fuck?
This is a book that Napoleon claims he was tasked with creating after meeting one of the richest men in the world at the time, Andrew Carnegie, whereby
Wow.
This is sitting on some bullshit. I mean, if this is not walking hand in hand, we took a break from talking about the religious. Well, you'll never guess what. We're talking about the fucking religious. So
well, I told you about the spiritualist movement, though, right? Like, this is all spirits and ghosts and your own internal... Fucking Carnegie, he believed in ghosts and shit. He kind of infamously so. Like, he abandoned a major railroad project, dug like 7 tunnels through mountains and shit. And when he went out to survey the work, as he was wont to do as a gazillionaire, he thought one of the tunnels was haunted because one of the workers had died there. And so they just abandoned the whole fucking project. Over $1 million in today's money, it'd be like $10 billion just gone because there might be one ghost.
So, but come on, guys, this is painful.
Yeah, it is.
I knew someone. She was looking for a financial planner. Long story short, and she sat there with her, suitcase full of money and her hopes and her dreams, and every single time. They're sitting there going back and forth, and her last question was always the same. Let me see your books. Every single financial planner got offended and kicked her out. Then the last one was literally, let me see your books. He was like, okay. And he opened up his book, his personal finances, because he was like, I want to see, because you're telling me what you're going to do with my shit. I want to see what you do with your shit. She took real world steps to make sure that her financial future was secure. You can go to financial analysts, financial planners, wealth managers. There's a whole bunch of people that can help you, or you can buy this stupid fucking book. And the 3 of us aren't any better. So again, this is not holier than thou type of thing, because we all have our soft spots, but it's the get something for nothing. This is the 6-minute abs version of finances. If you want nice abs, you got to work out, you got to watch your diet, you got to do the proper amount of cardio, get rest, or you can go buy a DVD that tells you can get it in 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's the shortcut thing.
Right. So you can go to a financial planner who will tell you this is going to be uncomfortable. Your 20 things that you just brought me, we're cutting them out. You get 8. Trust me, those 12, those are luxuries. Now, let me tell you what we're going to do with this money. It's going to be uncomfortable, but when you get to 55 and 6, you're like, holy shit, this worked like a motherfucker. Or you can take the shortcut and go to Barnes and Nobles, get one single book. Again, prayer in one hand, shit in the other one. Which one fills up first? And so, I mean, that hurts because, again, you are targeting the vulnerable. That's what's pissing me off with this crap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Also, this feeds back when he said cure a deaf son with magical thinking and shit.
Oh yeah.
That tells me that this also feeds back into the religious community that it came from, because this is about the time when the faith healers started making their rounds. They got a hold of these kinds of books and they were like, if I start like regrowing a person who has a short leg or fixing their deafness or making them walk again, people are just going to throw money at me. And they're still doing that today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a goddamn shame.
Yeah, it's just straight exploitation. Straight exploitation. And some of the people in the audience might be a little bit young, but for like my generation, my parents' generation, no, everybody knew about Napoleon Hill. This was and a lot of the spin-offs of the same type thinking, the millionaire mindset, how to get rich. And then I think even a lot of like the celebrities got into like their own versions of this type of inspirational stuff. So this is big. This is big business.
Clearly.
Carnegie tasked him to interview some of the most successful men in business and learn the secrets to their success. But go a little further down that rabbit hole and you'll realize Hill may not be the person he is so commonly portrayed as by his fans or his own works. In 1907, 30 years before the release of Think and Grow Rich, Hill co-founded the Acre Hill Lumber Company in Mobile, Alabama. Only a year later, the Pensacola Journal reported that the company was liable to bankruptcy proceedings and charges of mail fraud. It turns out that Hill had bought lumber from outside of Mobile on credit before selling the lumber at a much lower price in cash. Eventually, creditors and other businesses were catching wind of the fraud, and in September of 1908, Hill was on the run from authorities. It was around this time that Napoleon Hill claimed he spoke with Andrew Carnegie. But according to Andrew Carnegie's biographer, there was, quote, no evidence of any sort that Carnegie and Hill ever met. In 1909, Hill initiated the Automobile College of Washington, a college that promised students to teach them how to build, chauffeur, and sell motor cars. Only it turns out this college was just a way of getting free labor for building cars and then selling them. The Motor World magazine in April 1912 called Hill's College a scam and a, quote, joke to anyone of average intelligence, listing the many insane claims that Hill's College had been making, along with its scheme of paying students $3 a head per any other student they had recruited into the college. Much akin to a multi-level marketing scheme we might see.
Oh my goodness.
It even has MLM features. Amazing.
Oh my goodness. This is insane.
Today, the college eventually folded in 1912. But Hill wasn't finished trying to make a name for himself.
He had a bridge to sell.
He established a school called the George Washington Institute of Advertising, intending to teach the principles of success and self-confidence. Only 3 years later, 2 warrants had been issued for the arrest of Hill with charges of violating blue sky laws. You see, Hill established the college with a $100,000 capitalization and attempted to sell the shares to investors, primarily his own students, despite the school's assets being worth at best $1,200. The school ended not long afterwards. And this only scratches the surface of the other swindles Hill had been involved in. Of course, I understand what the common rebuke here would be. Napoleon Hill's book actually has value, and I myself have taken value from that book. Why should I care if the man himself had a fraudulent past?
Oh, it's the
But
Joseph
that's the point.
Smith
Oh my
argument.
goodness. It sounds like some Trump supporters.
Okay, so on my Matt Slick video that I did weeks back, one of the commenters said that apparently Matt Slick helped him or her out during a rough time. I couldn't even respond to that comment. You guys give me a little bit of latitude when I say what it is I'm getting ready to say. Apparently, Hitler was devoted to his family. He never had kids of his own, but apparently his nieces and nephews, he doted over those motherfuckers.
He was great to his dog, too.
Yeah. Now, when he's taking his dog for a walk, when he's singing happy birthday to his niece, was he committing just acts of horrid evil at that spot? No, he was not. But when you weigh in what he did outside of his home versus what, he's a total fucking lunatic. He's an asshole. Matt Slick. I'm glad that Matt Slick had $100 and gave it to you when you had none, but he's Matt Slick. He's still an asshole. And so you got this one, Napoleon Hill's book actually has value. I myself have taken value from this book. Why should I care if he has had a fraudulent past? Whoever said that again, I'm trying to be nice here. That's a broken person. That's a broken person. Again, the
Book of Mormon has value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is kicking me in my fucking face. Because again, the fucked up thing about it is, and I can tell you this from personal and professional experience, the person who survives a rape at the hands of John, do you want to know why it's hard to throw the book at someone like John? Because one person said he raped me. It was like, well, hold on. He was my fraternity brother. You don't understand what kind of good this guy does.
Right.
But rape? Are you kidding me? He has always treated me. I'm his secretary. He brings me coffee in the morning. John can't rape anybody. Right. That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. This book isn't full of shit. I was worth $50 and now I'm worth $75. Clearly this formula works. Woo. Yeah, and so like you found the one person who's willing to jerk off a swindler. And that's why swindlers swindle. There's always going to be that one person who stands behind them. That's the sad part. Jesus Christ. Ugh.
Go ahead, Ember.
Yeah, this hurts.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of Joseph Smith, because the dude was a known con man. He'd executed a bunch of cons, and then all of a sudden, he's the one with the holy book with the true revelation of Jesus and yada, yada, yada. And he's the only one. Okay. And the Mormons say that there were other witnesses. There were people who signed affidavits saying they saw the golden plates, but Joseph was the only one who could translate them. And it's just, oh my fucking God. And people in the time even tested him, right? They were like, you have a reputation for lying. You've been caught running cons before. So we're going to take this book you translated and hide the pages, translate it again to prove that you're actually translating from real tablets and yada, yada. And he couldn't fucking do it.
Right.
He had to write another similar book, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And people still believe it because even with the evidence right in their face, they don't want to accept it. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, because the story has value. What does it matter if it's all a crock of shit?
Exactly.
If you were a grifter, then for the grift to work, you must be able to provide some crumb of truth. The strategy is simple yet so effective. Gain the trust of your victim by preaching some level of truth, then subtly attach more extreme ideas to that truth until the victim can no longer recognize the difference. New Thought does this constantly. Positive thinking is no longer just a tool solely for better day-to-day well-being. It becomes a powerful force that can literally manifest material results. Health and disease, according to New Thought, can be cured simply through the power of our minds. Consider this. How many people have read and engrossed themselves in the teachings of Napoleon Hill? Hundreds, if not millions of individuals? But how many of them truly manage to achieve the financial success that they initially visualized on being tasked to do so when reading the book? Most,
Why don't we see
have likely
millions of
not.
millionaires?
Why is that? Because financial success can't possibly be reduced down to your thinking or your ability to visualize wealth. Even taking action, which Hill admittedly does promote in his book, is no guarantee for financial success. Action increases probabilities, but for this to be a law, it must work every time. And yet, New Thought is fundamentally unfalsifiable. We can't measure thoughts and feelings, nor the supposed vibrations thoughts and feelings have. And that's just the thing, see? The best grift is the one that leaves the grifter blameless. Anyone right now can write a book or sell a program on the law of attraction. They can run ads targeting vulnerable consumers, and best of all, if their teachings don't work, the blame never falls on them. It's always your fault. You didn't believe enough. You weren't thinking positive enough. You had resistance. You weren't patient enough. Now, the price of a book doesn't seem daunting. If you only spend a few dollars and glean some value from it, then it seems rather harmless and possibly worth the money. But how would you feel if the price of said book was a figure much higher than just a few dollars? How would you feel about someone promoting a secret or guarantee of success for much larger amounts of money?
And this part of the problem too in our culture is that we allow lying. We just call it marketing. And that to me is, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but I just, there's so many times you'll see Little Caesars Pizza, America's favorite Detroit style pizza. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Little Caesars is the favorite pizza of 0.0 people.
No,
but
Little Caesars excels in one area. The pizza, there is no fast food, right?
Yes,
Burger King has to make your burger fresh.
Yes.
McDonald's has to make your stuff fresh. And that's great. Fresh is fantastic. But you can walk into a Little Caesars, say, "Give me a pizza," and walk back out in 10 seconds.
Yes, exactly. But we just allow people to lie to us if it's marketing. It's Yeah.
There's laws protecting us from fraud. He even mentioned a few of them, those blue sky laws with his college. But how do you demonstrate that something this wishy-washy is fraud? I mean, it clearly is, but how do you prove it in court?
Right, exactly.
When you can always say, "Oh, this person didn't wish hard enough."
This is sad.
Napoleon Hill's book has been an inspiration to many as the New Thought movement continues to grow, inspiring much of the self-help industry we're consumed by today, two of which went by the names of Jerry and Esther Hicks.
We'd like to ask Abraham to come and speak to us.
Okay, it just takes a few seconds. I won't move much.
Oh, not this shit.
It is nice to have an opportunity to visit.
Esther Hicks claims that she can channel an entity, or rather a group of entities known as Abraham Hicks, charging hundreds of dollars for their seminars and workshops.
Good morning.
Members of the audience are invited forward to pose a question to Esther, or more specifically, the Abraham entity she is supposedly channeling.
Hi, it's nice to see you again. Thank you again, and thank you to Esther.
Whilst Jerry sits at the side somewhere, taking notes, perhaps for their next book.
We want to say that in this book that is coming, there are 33 examples of all kinds of things that might happen in someone's life. And each of these
Both Esther and Jerry have authored countless books promoting the teachings of this Abraham entity, which are structured like a conversation between Jerry and Abraham, with the latter giving answers to life's most asked questions. Esther goes as far as claiming on her site that this is the original source material for the current law of attraction. In fact, many in the law of attraction community suggest that Rhonda Byrne's film, The Secret, was just a watered-down version of Hicks's teachings. And it's precisely because of Esther's reputation as the most authentic one out of the two that I think it's worth discussing her. Because upon closer inspection, we see that much of Hicks's teachings are exactly what we've come to understand from New Thought. I don't actually have to know whether or not Esther really is channeling an entity for me to be extremely skeptical of her work. The contradictions and problematic teachings speak far more to her legitimacy than any claims of channeling. In Esther's book, The Law of Attraction, one such problematic teaching...
This is sitting on some bullshit. All this stuff has been proven to be 5,000% fraudulent. All of it. And you'll never make a law to stop this type of bullshit because it's profitable. I remember watching one of those, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And the lady was she was printing money, sleeping on a bag of $100 bills because she had the ability to talk to your dead relative. And a news station, and it was bringing people all kinds of comfort, but they were being lied to. And one of the things was, you have to bring me a picture of your dead loved one that kind of connects our energy. And a news reporter did it. And they set this lady up and they brought her a picture. It's like, she got all kinds of fucked up. She's okay. I'm your aunt. Okay. I'm fine. I'm fine in the afterlife. What's that? Okay. Go to your bank and withdraw all your money and put it where? Okay. In bank account 1, 2, 3, 4. The reporter left. She came back. And she's like, do you remember me? He's like, yeah, I talked to your dead Aunt Esther. It's like, yeah. You showed me her picture when she was a kid. Right? I was like, yeah, that was my no, that wasn't my aunt when she was a kid. That was me. That's my baby. And the lady just sat there and she shit on her. And so I was like, oh, well, I mean, the electrical currency wasn't. But you'll never guess what? It didn't shut down her business. She kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't it like Peter Popoff? Or maybe it was a dude in Dallas, Robert Tilt, whichever one it was. And one of his big things was he could call you up on stage without ever meeting you and know what your disability was and cure it in front of everybody.
Wow.
But one of his disgruntled former employee exposed it and turned out it was real. And so when you were a new visitor, you would fill out a form, even down to what you were wearing. And so
the earpiece.
Yeah. And producers backstage saying, call the guy in row 3 in the gray sweater.
Exactly. It's like, I see Bimber, Schmimber. Is it an Ember? Man. And I mean, what is it? A hat. I see a hat. I see a mustache and a black shirt. What was? And he can see, and you're like, holy shit, that's me. Busted. Absolutely stone cold busted. You'll never guess who never lost a single customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me mad about this.
Yeah.
Because you know in advance you are targeting the vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we're all vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people know that, and they're gonna punch at it. And it's just that just makes me mad. That pisses me off.
Yeah, and what's even worse about it is once people, they know ahead of time that they're being scammed, but they choose to believe anyway because they really want to believe because they're in a bad place. They're like, nothing I can do is helping. I need some kind of supernatural help. Maybe this will help. And so they walk, eyes up right into a scam. And then when they get scammed, they go, oh, well, this is just awful. It should be illegal. He took all my money. He set me up with false hope and all this crap. And then they become cynical and they won't trust anything ever again. Even stuff there's a good reason to believe.
Yeah. That's
I'm not gonna put any faith in this medicine mumbo jumbo. Well, I've been lied to before,
Right. Absolutely.
This is sad. This is what makes all of our lives just a little bit more difficult. This is pissing me off. It really is.
100%. 100%.
Centers around the idea that a victim of a robbery is a co-creator of the violence inflicted upon them. Jerry states, I can understand robbers being attracted to those they're robbing, but it's difficult to see innocent victims attracting the robbery, or the person being discriminated against attracting the prejudice. Hicks responds, they are just the same. The assaulted and the assaulter are co-creators of the event. If you think Hicks's response here is a one-off, you'd be mistaken. She emphasizes this point numerous times. Take a moment to truly consider the level of victim blaming and lack of accountability that such a position would lead to.
Magnets.
Or instead of
How do they work?
Imagine a child born into poverty who starves to death before the age of 5. According to Hicks's teachings, these children were co-creators of their fate. And this isn't a belief shared just by Hicks alone. This is a fundamental premise in all of New Thought. By this logic, we can say that the perpetrators of countless crimes shouldn't be held accountable. After all, they are just the product of their victims' vibrational frequency. Any rational person can see the danger of this thinking. But as we've come to learn, for the preacher of such ideas, this logic is perfect. Because all who complain that they haven't been able to manifest health, wealth, abundance, or whatever dream we've sold them on, we can tell these people that it isn't the fault of our belief system that they didn't get what they wanted. It is in fact their fault. And as we peddle more of our workshops, write more of our books...
I'm not drunk enough for this.
Fair point, fair point.
This is horrible. Do you guys hear that? The kid who starves and dies, that's their fault.
Yeah, they manifested it.
Right.
Yet all the people who have had self-terminating unalivey thoughts, again, not sure which terms YouTube is banning this week. They weren't able to manifest their own ending. They had to take physical steps, and it didn't always work, you know?
Absolutely.
See, but this what like what you said about GUNS issue, right? Let's just pray over the guns. Well, you'll never guess what. That shit's not working. And then we turn around, and then you end up some way, somehow blaming the kids.
Yeah.
Right? Marjorie Trailer, right? And not the Uvalde shooting, but one of the, don't know if I can say that word, but one of the incidents, straight up. What if the teacher what if the students had...
Right, yeah.
They're like, wait, that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
That's what you're talking about? So since little Johnny wasn't strapped like Rambo, John Jay, that's why the shit,
Yeah, and how
this is
how do you tell?
blaming.
When you're going to blame the victim, how do you tell? Was it little Johnny who got shot? Was it the teacher who was sick of little Johnny's shit and manifested the shooter? What about all the other kids who got shot?
Right.
Was it just because of Johnny, or were they all of this shit? None of it adds up if you think about it for even a tenth of a second. Liz Allen had a good comment a second ago. Someone could write a comedy bit about a bank robber manifesting money. Like, if manifestation worked, he wouldn't have to rob the fucking bank.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a good point. That is such a good point.
We have an excuse each and every time someone attempts to challenge our ideas.
And a new book to sell you.
So what we notice as we look into the medical profession today, we see doctors and scientists literally scaring people to death with their pronouncements of diseases that are incurable, when we know that there is not any disease that is incurable. You can get to where you want to be from wherever you are if you will point in the direction that you want to go and continue to move in that direction.
You
That's
could literally
the doctor's fault. Yeah,
you could just plop her down on any pulpit on a Sunday morning, and that same exact rant just works. It's exactly from a preacher's catalog.
Hicks, as we've already discovered with others in the New Thought movement, makes the claim that our thoughts and feelings, or our vibrational frequencies, can cure us of any disease. It seems odd then, or rather hypocritical, that her husband Jerry himself passed away from cancer in 2011. But this prophecy is something we'll see more of as we continue.
He didn't have the right vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before they even said that, the first thing I saw was eyeglasses. eyeglasses.
Oh yeah.
Why not just manifest yourself? Not 2020. Why didn't you manifest yourself pilot's vision and go 2010? Go for broke.
Oh fuck! Just
right. This pisses
X-ray
me
vision.
off.
Go, like go whole hog.
Fucking go for it.
Yeah.
And again, this is just like the lady that sat there and said, "Show me your finances. I want to see if you practice what you preach." The thing is, why do you need me to spend $10 on your book to make you rich?
Yeah.
Right? If prayer works, if manifesting work, if crystals and energy and just positive thought your monkey ass into a millionaire status. Why do you need my money?
Right.
Right. And
Why
then
does God need a starship?
Exactly. So then her husband passed away, and I got no jokes about that. But my problem isn't that her husband passed away. My problem is, and that's just the person that we know. What makes me mad are the hundreds, if not thousands of people who sat there and was like, "Baby, we got to take you to the doctor now. But you don't seem to understand there, fuckface. I saw some fucked up ass person on the internet and they said, just think the bleeding to stop. Baby, please, 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 please. How many people have lost loved ones in front of their face because of some bullshit like this? And it's all fun and games until, again, we only know about her husband, which is sad. But what about all the other people who tried this foolishness and didn't report? That's what's getting to me.
Yeah, or
right.
Take it a step further. If she's right, why do we even need blood? Like, why can't we just will our bodies to function without any blood in them? Or why do we even need bodies? Maybe we could all be ghosties and shit. And another related thing, trans people exist. Like, if you can will yourself into certain situations, if your entire life is the physicalization of what you manifested pre-birth or whatever, how the fuck can there be trans people? They would have been born the gender that suits them, you know?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because these are some of the things people are the most desperate. You can't convince me that people don't want to be rich, or that they don't want health badly enough, or that or that trans people are not, that this is that there's nothing more important to, like, how this is a source of immense suffering and issue and threats.
Nobody need hormones or therapy. If you could just like, nobody manifests harder than a trans person, this is who I am, who I think of myself as, what I am supposed to be. And yet there's still hormones, there's still surgeries, there's still therapy and voice training and all the things, because nothing works the way these fuck nuggets says it works.
Absolutely. And
did you guys see that from punk to pasture? I will a bigger dick. Sadly, it did not.
yeah, that too. Even the biggest believers, like our favorite buddy, fuckface Frank Turek, he had to have gender affirming surgery because he was growing some man boobies and he didn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. First and foremost, note to self: do an entire show based on that. I actually remember him talking about him having gynecomastia. You're absolutely right. All that bullshit that he hawks is like, dude, you want other people to pray. You want other people to bite on your bullshit. Why didn't you bite on it yourself?
Yeah.
Again, it's funny how it is that God can't seem to work unless the person praying takes real world measures. Dear God, please let my bitch tits go away. God, please let my bitch tits. What time is my appointment tomorrow, doc? And then he goes to the doctor. And I've always said, at this point, I got to imagine probably second year med students, you take an entire class called You Won't Get Thanked for Shit.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you become a doctor, and again, you stayed overtime. You worked on this one case because you saw the look in Mr. and Mrs. Johnson's eyes. Their 3-year-old is sitting there hanging on to life. You worked 17 hours straight, no nap, no nothing. And you know what? You saved that child. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, their very first words are, "Thank you, Jesus."
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
My prayers work. And then ask them, what was the doctor's name that saved your child?
Yeah. So Deion Sanders is one of my favorite athletes ever. And Uncle Bob, I'm sure you understand. But he was talking about how he had to have his toes amputated. And he was just doing an interview with Shannon Sharpe, and he's talking about you know, at one point they told me it was going to be my leg below the knee. Then they told me it might be my life. Then it was the two toes. And I thank God it was just the two toes. I'm just like, come on, man.
Wow.
Come on, man. I thank God.
That's the ego that walks hand in hand with prayer. First, it was my leg, then it was my life. And so since I'm so goddamn special, God just made it my toes.
Right. Yeah.
And again, it's just like God was there for Deion Sanders' toes. But again, that Catholic schoolboy, that altar boy,
right,
who's not praying, but again, begging, God, please make this stop. This is the 7th time just this month that Father McFeely has broken into my dorm room. Please make this stop. You'll never guess what. But you're so special. You're so special that God said, you know what, keep your leg in exchange to toes.
Yeah, and also he had to get out the hospital at one point because his son wasn't doing as well and he needed him at a game. So he came to coach the game in a wheelchair. His son threw the game-winning touchdown. His other son caught the game-saving interception, and they had 21 points on the scoreboard, which used to be his jersey number. And he said, God, look at what you do.
It's the Jesus. Okay, it's Cat Jesus.
I will make this Cat Jesus good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bash my own family on this one. This was after I finished playing, but Texas Longhorn football player Cole Pittman, he died tragically, and it was sad. I got no jokes about that. Cole Pittman, let's say he died on a Sunday. The next Texas game was that Saturday. They played in honor of Cole Pittman. I would have done the exact same thing. The final score was Texas 44, and their opponent, I can't remember. Cole Pittman's jersey number was 44.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Oh.
And so, of course, right, this is what God wanted. And all I could think was, as the person watching the game, not on the field, and I didn't know Cole, was first and foremost, whatever you need to get you through that shitty moment, fine. But I think what would have been better on God's part was letting Cole live to play in that actual game.
Right.
44 points for Cole Pittman. That's not too far of a stretch for the Christian God.
No.
Letting Cole Pittman live an extra 7 days so that maybe he could score the 44th point on his dad's 44th birthday or something like that.
Right.
That to me would have been a little bit more special.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just reaching, and it's the ego. It's I'm special.
Yeah, and it's built into the narrative of how they interpret everything going on around them.
Oh,
but yeah,
totally.
Yeah, God help me find my car keys, but fuck all the kids in Africa. All that shit. But yeah, it reminds me of because of the amputation, you know, why doesn't God heal amputees? It reminds me of this meme I saw a few months ago where it showed a kid whose arm had been amputated because of illness and shit. And it says, you know, his whole church prayed for him. And then it shows the same kid, but he's got a freaking cybernetic replacement. Yeah, prosthetic. And it says, and one scientist actually did something. Like, this is the difference between prayer and science, or manifestation and science.
Absolutely.
It's like God can't heal amputees, or manifestation can't heal amputees.
Right.
But we can't heal it, but we can fucking help if we get up off our asses and stop, you know,
and do something.
begging. Yeah, take action.
Absolutely.
Fuck's sake.
Now, you might ask, Why bother adding all the metaphysical and pseudoscientific ideas in the first place? If Esther and Jerry were truly trying to con people or just make a ton of money, wouldn't it have appealed to a bigger market if she simply passed herself off as a life coach, rather than turning potential customers off of her works by claiming that she could channel another entity? I, however, disagree. It's my opinion that the addition of spirituality and channeling is actually an incredibly clever marketing device, because now life advice turns into the teachings of Abraham.
Yeah.
And if one wants to hear the teachings of Abraham...
Yeah, Guitar Dog, I did. And that one I got a comment on. Is that, did you see where Damar Hamlin died on the field? Yeah. That one, because that became a topic of discussion at work. And a lady told me to my face that that is God. Because apparently preachers and pastors see, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Damar Hamlin plays professional football for the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
He made a tackle that is made 5,000 times every football weekend. There was nothing violent about it. It was your standard issue tackle. He got hit in the chest, and it was one of those, if he made that tackle 900 trillion more times, he just would have walked away. But it was that one time where they caught his heartbeat in between the lub and the dub. That one little electrical pulse right here, and he died. He died. CPR, everything. It was tragic. They tubed him when they went to the hospital, everything. And pastor seized on it. Because ESPN people were praying, newscasters were praying live on TV, and prayer brought Damar Hamlin back. A lady at work was sitting there talking to me, and she knows I'm an atheist, and she tried to use that as a trump card. See, it brought us together, and prayers. And I remember I was like, I'm going to stop you right here. I'm going to stop you right here. Because Damar Hamlin technically died probably 2 or 3 times during that entire moment. You mean to tell me that God wants us to know he exists so badly that he made a mother sit there and watch her son die in front of her fucking face, not once, not twice, 3 times. 3 times so some unknown ESPN anchor can sit there and say, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but dear God, please cure Damar Hamlin. Is that the best your God can do? Scaring the shit out of a mother?
Yeah.
You cannot be serious.
Also,
but yeah, they just seize it.
Also, I'm pretty sure Damar Hamlin wanted to manifest wealth and as much of it as possible. And we all know that this is the type of thing where they'll keep you around the organization, you know, maybe for a year or so that the PR is good. Maybe they'll, you know, I'm sure they'll hook him up with a job as a Buffalo Bills ambassador if he wants one. But do you know how much income that man lost?
No,
it's just, again, because again, his career got cut short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bruh man did not feel blessed about this. But the crazy thing is, I think he's a Christian, and I think he interprets it through the whole thing like the rest of them. It's pretty.
Which is a weird thing for a Christian to say, right? Because it's like, Jesus saved me by not letting me into heaven.
That's weird too.
Damn. Yeah,
that's weird too. We're thinking about that. That's a great point, Ember. I used to always say that proper Christianity is a suicidal religion.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's exactly what I meant.
1000%.
That's exactly what I meant. You are supposed to want to see you. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Off to be with my Lord.
Pretty much.
All right, here we go.
They must go to the source. They must go to the person who is claiming to channel this divine entity. This creates scarcity around Hicks's business of answering humanity's burning questions. And the scarcer the product, the more valuable it becomes. So when you're given an eye-watering price tag, no one bats an eyelid. It is my opinion that New Thought's use of spirituality and pseudoscience serves this exact purpose, allowing your teachings to seem more valuable in the marketplace. It is my opinion that the use of an Abraham entity is more of a marketing device than anything else, conceived from the foundation of Jerry Hicks's past career as a high-level distributor for the multi-level marketing company Amway. A company that preached ideas like the law of attraction and books like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, because they recognized that in order to keep members inside the MLM scheme, they had to blame themselves if they didn't achieve the goals the MLM promised.
That's so interesting. But yeah, there's the tie. I wasn't thinking about that. You know, I just think they're the same people, the same cult culture. But no, this is explicit, right? This is how you actually keep. This is the MO. This is so good. This is so good.
Either way, none of this stopped Oprah from inviting Esther for an interview years later, just as she had done with Rhonda Byrne.
And that for over 20 years, Esther Hicks and her husband Jerry have been spreading the word of that so-called secret.
It didn't stop the Abraham Hicks money-making machine from running as usual.
Fucking amazing. So we should try something similar,
just
right?
like Esther and
We should like for science or something, we should be like, okay, if we take what we're saying as mortals, as logical, rational thought, and the believers are ignoring it, then we should give them what they want. We should use this exclusivity, the rarity of a power that no one else can tap into and all that kinds of shit. So we should be all like,
damn.
Yeah, man. You need to manifest this secular healing. Let the skepticism wash over you and bring about your billions.
The thing is, the good news is we have this thing called not being an asshole. And I just
that's what we're doing wrong.
Well, I know it is. Clearly, being a total jerk is profitable. And I was listening, I was reviewing the game tape on my video with Fuckface Frank Turk. And the thing that hit my brain space, because it's a very common question to ask or topic when women's self-defense. And it's, does that work? Does that work? Well, that doesn't really work. It's like, look, I don't even entertain that discussion. But what I will say is, look, if there was ever a bad guy handbook on exactly what bad guys are going to do, every good guy would bend over backwards to go get that fucking book so we can teach how to. But that's not the case. And my point is, when I was sitting there thinking about Turk, again, he's got the key. He can keep you out of hell. But please listen to my 15-minute infomercial first. And I was thinking,
buy my DVDs.
Buy my DVDs, buy my book. He even hawked, go get direct TV so you can. My thing is, if I had this one move, there's one move that anyone could deploy under any circumstances, and it takes absolutely minimal effort. It is guaranteed to make sure to stop your attacker dead in his or her tracks. I got the mods. Do you know what I would do with that information? I would give it away
Teach in the first class. Yeah.
Yeah. I would pay for people to come to me so that they can get this information, because it's just that goddamn important. If I knew the one move that could stop a sex crime, I would give that information away. This is something that is important. Otherwise, you're war prophet. Oh, you don't want to get raped when you go to college? Do you have the $1,700? Bitch, consider yourself raped. No, you give that to that person for free. You're sitting there on The Secret. You're talking about energy and vibrations and I can cure cancer. 4 easy payments of $49.95. If you got DeMott's, if you can carry it like that, you give that information away. If you have any kind of spine, any kind of backbone, you mean you really, I remember a lady, I'm sorry, I'm pissed off. It's just a lady who was trying to get me to come back to the flock was telling me how prayer cured her breast cancer. And I asked her, do you really believe that? She was like, yeah, of course I do. And to her face, I said, you're the most selfish bitch I've ever seen in my life. You mean to tell me you've got, well, you mean to tell me you've got the one magical incantation that could stop cancer? And you didn't present that to the medical community?
Right. And said you just came into work today like any other day.
Right. And so you saved it for me. You saved it for some half-crippled drunk. We're having hamburgers. You're trying to convince me to become a Christian, and you're sitting there with the cure for cancer. And you did nothing with it. You are the most selfish person I've ever seen in my life. And I can't stand her now as a result. I put all this in the same goddamn category.
Right.
There are people who literally will not eat dinner tonight. But you got the mods. Follow this formula. You can not only buy food for your home, but for every house on the block. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Part of the cult mentality is to keep it secret and keep it in an exclusive group. Go ahead, Ember.
Yeah. You have to focus it on yourself. You have to be selfish about it, because that's the only way it doesn't become obvious. If one good person, one person who cared more about others than themselves, ever succeeded at this shit, then nobody else would ever need to do it ever, because they'd be like, dear Jesus or dear spirits or whatever fucking form of the woo they're practicing.
Right.
Please don't let anyone ever go hungry or suffer cancer or etc. ever again. And that would be it'd be done. It'd be over.
You just manifest.
Is that the only reason?
On the right frequencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, the reason we have cancer is because nobody's manifest the intent on the correct frequency to get rid of this thing.
Yeah. All the people with the special power are too fucking selfish.
That's the guy.
Jerry's works were repackaged ideas from the same root, New Thought. It was perfect to promise you health, wealth, love, and abundance all in one go. To package it all under an umbrella of spirituality.
I believe that once you discover the secret, that you can immediately start creating the life you want, whether it's getting out
Says
of
the
debt,
super
whether
rich
it's finding more
person.
fulfilling
Always.
jobs,
Exactly.
even falling in love.
Rhonda's film earned her millions, and it gave an incredible boost to the careers of the supposed teachers it featured, allowing them to branch away from the franchise to run their own coaching businesses and cash in on spiritual retreats. But I remind you, New Thought is a belief system perfectly designed for grifters who don't care for the desperately ill, poor, and helpless who line their pockets, leading them to push incredibly dangerous ideas onto their victims.
So I thought, what if I just visualize checks coming in the mail? So I just visualize a bunch of checks coming in the mail. Within just 1 month, things started to change. And it is amazing. Today, I just get checks in the mail. I get a few bills, but I get more checks than...
All right, this reminds me of a funny story. I was out to dinner one night with my mom and my stepdad growing up, and my stepdad talked like he was basically complaining that this is not how the world works, and he was talking about how, you know, there's never just envelopes of cash that show up in the mail for him randomly. You know, I guess talking about how he has to work or whatever. I don't know what it was, but it was basically this type of story. And so I actually did it. Like, I put an envelope in the mailbox for him with all the cash I had. And and he laughed. He thought it was so cute. But it just goes back to sort of that point we were saying before about how if the world really worked that way, all it would take is, you know, a couple unselfish people to just start, hey man, hey, why don't I just manifest DeMar Hamlin money to all my friends? I feel bad about him. Let's send him a few $1 million that he lost from his NFL contract, and I'll just send it to everybody else that's watching the stream right now. Right. and done and done.
Yeah.
But it also just makes me think of how Dillahunty's always telling people that, you know, prophecy doesn't count if people are actively trying to make it true.
Oh
yeah. There's no fucking magic involved. It's fucking crazy. His thing about checks in the mail makes me think of how you get those fake checks in the mail. Like you see the little pay to the order in the address window, and you tear it open, and it's like it's a debt consolidation loan. I'm like, oh well, that's disappointing. I get lots of those checks because I still have student loans out the wazoo.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Same.
Again, I'm in broken record mode because this stuff just really hacks me off. Again, David Shermer, again, you got that kind of juice. You got the mots. You give that mots away. That's the only moral thing to do, right? I just visualize checks. And if you give me $49.95 and 5 easy installments, I'll tell you how to visualize checks. No.
Why can't we pay him to visualize checks for us? Since he has the magic mojo. Okay, David, whatever the fuck your name is, here's $20. Visualize checks appearing in my mailbox.
Right.
Prove to me that this is how it works.
But again, it takes nothing. If it's as simple as visualize. There's no money out of his pocket if he just shows you how to visualize. He's still going to be a multimillionaire, I assume. Just spread the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Again, I can cure cancer with a prayer. Then you need to tell that to everybody. Everybody. I can make anyone rich if they just follow my program. Okay, then do it. I could stop the crime of rape with just this one move. Why don't you show it to me? Well, I'll do it for $105 a second. If you got that kind of pull, you give it away. That is the only moral thing to do. The only moral thing to do. Give me a break.
Yeah, and you don't even need to capitalize on it. And like with this kind of because if it were legit, then you'd win whatever Nobel Prize is the appropriate category. You'd get all kinds of honorariums. Like everyone in the universe would love the fuck out of you, and you'd never need for anything ever in your life.
Never.
Absolutely.
Never.
Absolutely.
You'd be the most famous human in 2,000 years if you could just fucking wah and cure cancer.
Exactly.
Bills.
But now serious questions have been raised about his business dealings. In this exclusive investigation, Ben Fordham has found investors left high and dry and demanding justice.
A former student of Shermer's who spent $30,000 to learn about the stock market.
Part of the funds were supposed to be put into a trading fund, and David would then trade those funds on the futures stock market.
What happened to that fund?
Well, we don't know.
It's their money. They paid you the tuition fees.
It's not their money.
And you told them that you would take $5,000 out of each person's tuition and trade it on the market, and they would receive 50% of the profits. They never received any profits. Where's the money?
That money, and come back to the original question.
Where is the money? Please answer the
He's
question.
manifesting the checks.
Yes, he
the
is.
money, and as someone asked me recently the same question.
Where is the money, David?
Well,
please answer the question. Where is the money?
Where is the money? You tell me.
What?
Pause the tape. This is this is exactly. Come on, guys. Come on. And I don't even know who that interviewer was. Much respect for that person.
Yeah, that was great.
To just sit there and stay on target. Where's the money, my dude? Then that final answer? You tell me. I think I would have taken my clipboard and I would have broken it over his head. You tell. What kind of answer is that? And this David fuckface. If he is not homeless, eating out of a dumpster, then there is truly no justice in the universe. You just got your monkey ass busted live on TV. Everything should be stripped from this person. Everything. The next interview he does, he needs to be wearing the exact same suit, except he's only worn it for the last 3 years because he doesn't have anything else. His beard should be down to his knees. His hair should look all kinds of crazy. And he should smell so bad you would think he needs an autopsy. He should be completely unemployable.
Yeah, well, he's been
like this.
He's been banned from providing any financial services. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'll still sell you how to manifest magic. I wonder though, if somebody does like pay him the big bucks and be like, tell me your secrets. How do I manifest checks? He's like, well, the real secret is you just lie to people and get them to send you checks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was
absolutely.
Aaron Raw. I remember him telling a story where it was a line you're supposed to get up, speak in tongues or whatever the fuck. And everyone was doing it. Everyone was doing it. And he was panicked because he was next. And he told the pastor, the leader, and he was, tugging on his cape. There was like, hey, I'm not being possessed by their spirit. I'm kind of panicking. And he told Aaron, hey, just fake it. We all do. He's just like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what we're all talking about. The bullshit's been exposed. The only sad part is people are still going to buy into it because there's always going to be a grifter and there's always going to be a mark. It's a sad reality. It is a sad reality.
Yeah. And I think there's a real portion of people in these organizations and in churches and everything that know that they're faking it. And it's, God, that's data I wish I could see. That is, I wish I could know hearts and minds. What do you think about that, Ember?
I think we can't prove it unless they come out and say something that makes it obvious.
Yeah.
But I think almost all of them know. Like even the ones who start out as true believers, and I don't think there's as many as people think.
Wow.
Eventually they figure it out and they know exactly what they're doing. But I think it's just like that preacher that Bobby was talking about. I think there's like this unspoken tacit agreement where the gullible people truly believe it. And so the more sophisticated people, they know, but they do it for other reasons, like the preachers who keep on preaching even though they know it's all a scam, because this is how the community comes together, how the community bonds. Or maybe they tell themselves it's like little kids and Santa Claus. We just play along so we don't ruin their fantasy.
Wow. All right.
Most people look at their current state of affairs and they say, this is who I am.
Oh, he still teaches law of attraction.
That's not who you are. That's who you were. And so you must continually invest in yourself. You've got to grow.
I love the production on this documentary.
It's
the way it's got the red yarn and shit. Oh, it's great.
Paper energy that you have in your pocket or purse.
Hey, what's the problem? 2 people aren't breathing. No pulse.
Pray for them.
Police are focusing their investigation on James Arthur Ray, the motivational speaker and self-help guru who ran the 5-day retreat. Over 60 people were in the sweat lodge for 2 hours as the culmination of Ray's spiritual warrior retreat. It was pitch black inside and extremely hot. When it was over, 2 people were dead.
Kirby's life ended while she was trying to improve it. That's when she found self-help guru James Arthur Ray.
And I can help you. I really can.
The motivational speaker had already built a multi-million-dollar business, launched by the popular movie The Secret. She reached one of the highest level workshops, a retreat, which cost her her life savings, $10,000.
Do find the defendant, James Arthur Ray, on the offense of negligent homicide as a result of the death of Kirby Brown as follows: guilty.
Wow. 2 years.
2 years.
Continues to run a self-help business. Oh,
on November
my
23rd,
goodness.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
See, that's unfucking. That's what I mean about
my strong.
These people do fucking know, right? Because if he, for whatever fuck all reason, truly believed what he was selling, and then this happened, he'd hang it up. He'd be like, "It's not worth anyone's life. I'm done. I'm over. I'm already a millionaire. I don't need it anyway." But no, he is a greedy motherfucker out for every goddamn penny he can get. Just like Kent Hovind, just like all of them. They all send me the money. That's the only thing they give a fuck about. People died. Oh well, too bad.
I watched it was 2020, 60 Minutes, one of those, and this guy, and he was good. He was good. So, Bundy, let's say you're a retired Navy SEAL. This guy could be a SEAL like that. He knew all the language, he knew all the jargon, he knew all the key terms, all of it. But let's say you were a 69-year-old Navy SEAL, and he had you. He had you. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, let me tell you something here, Frog, man. I got this tremendous opportunity, man. And I would only extend this to a fellow brother. Long story short, he would siphon your money. Ember, you are a retired Marine sniper. He knew everything there was to know about being a Marine sniper, except you went through sniper school years ago. So now you're 65 years old. He's 27. It's like, hey, man, I got this tremendous. And he did that to members of the military that were elderly, and he would suck them dry and, of course, move somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Long story short, they finally caught this asshole. He's in jail. And I still remember the reporter sitting there talking to him through the glass like he was like a mass murderer. And he's like, just like, these are elderly people. They can't recover what it is you understand what you've done. And he's trying to make this guy feel some sort of guilt, something. And today I will never forget. And he's sitting back, it was Stone Phillips. And he's sitting there listening to Stone. He's like, get me out of here. Get me out of this jail. And I remember he said, 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I can make you my best friend. In 10 minutes, I can make you write me a check. In 20 minutes, you'll never see me again, and I'll have your life. And it's just like, holy shit. And he sat there and he said it. It's like he called his shot. This is how I'm going to bend you over the barrel. You can't stop me. That's exactly what it is we just saw there, boys.
Yep.
It's like, I killed somebody. I made a lady give me every dime she had, and I made that otherwise healthy woman literally sweat until she could no longer convert oxygen to carbon dioxide. Oh, I did my 2 years. Now watch this. Get your demons out at the Ray Fuckface Sweat Lodge for the low price of $1,000. Who wants to sign up? The next camp will be full. Jesus. Yes, sociopath. Jedi, sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned demons, because I was thinking about that when you mentioned the speaking in tongues thing. I'm like, why would people invite a spirit into their body to make them go blah, 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 blah? That sounds demonic to me. I don't know. But yeah, that's exactly what the new revival of deliverance ministries are up to, is everything's fucking demonic. Everything's possessed by demons. Don't go see a doctor for your depression or your cancer or your broken leg. Come see me and I'll get the demon out of you. That's the only way. Fill my collection plate.
Damn.
That's absolutely.
All kinds of fucked up.
Absolutely.
Faith that I was already healed. I saw myself as if cancer was never in my body. From the time I was diagnosed, which was November 23rd, to the time I was healed totally was approximately 3 months. And that's without radiation and chemotherapy.
What? Claims she healed herself using the law of attraction.
She's lying.
But she felt like she had healed.
And she died of breast cancer. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not treating illnesses is obviously, science isn't perfect, medicine isn't perfect. We can't cure everything. I had a relative actually named Uncle Bobby, and he got pancreatic cancer. He knew he was fucked, but he'd always been a fighter. So he went and he found Mayo Clinic or John Hopkins or somebody who was doing a study, and he's like, hey, I'm fucked. How can I help? What can you do that will help? And they were working on this, not a vaccine per se, but basically what it did is they'd sequence your genome, and then they'd make a retrovirus that would go into every cell of your body, read your genome, and if it didn't match what was imprinted on it, it would destroy the chromosomes. The idea being, since cancer cells, the DNA is all fucked up in there, it would see it's not a match, and it would destroy the cancer cell.
Yeah.
And he was, one of a test group, and it wasn't successful. He did eventually die. He may have gotten an extra 6 months from it, which is a bonus. Yeah. But his whole thing is, if I'm going down, I'm taking this fucking disease with me.
Right.
Right.
And that's inspirational, man.
Yeah.
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 Damn.
That's what we all need to be doing. And again, just the cruelty to really believe something can heal cancer and not share it. Just
cruel. That's the good word to use. Cruel.
Losing his second wife, Kathy, 48 to breast cancer. Yeah, she died. So she died in 2014. The Secret makes various unsubstantiated claims about our mind's ability to cure from illness and disease. Many of the claims come from unqualified individuals.
Everything that you require. If it's money you need, you'll attract. If it's people you need, you'll attract. If it's a certain book you need, you'll attract.
Bob Proctor is a preacher of the law of attraction, appearing numerous times during Rhonda Byrne's film. But perhaps you may not know, Bob Proctor had also been a big promoter of the multi-level marketing company Vemma, a company that specifically targeted universities, aiming to find teenagers and young adults who are filled with dreams of wealth and fame.
Here you create your own income. You can be 16 and make as much money as you want. You can be 85 and make as much money as you want. Why would you let somebody else tell you how much money you're worth? That doesn't make sense to me.
Bob Proctor made several appearances at their events, as his books were promoted amongst Vemma's young distributors.
In fact, I introduced my own wife to the company, and she earns tens of thousands of dollars now. Now, I recommended that she join a company called Vemma, and I recommended it because I know the man that owns the company. And there's a company I'm working with, Vemma, and I'm working with their people worldwide. Because I'm going to tell you, this is one of the best opportunities for time and money freedom that you're ever going to find. The opportunity that you're looking at here with Vemma will give you that. And Charles is going to explain an idea.
This dude missed his calling. Can you imagine if he was like a guy who administered tests? Then he could be Proctor. Or he could like take up a career in Vegas as a professional card counter, and then he'd be Proctor who gambles.
Proctor.
Yeah, or Dr. Proctor. He had so many opportunities, and he squandered them all just to become stupidly rich. And also, Titan, I am noticing side chat, so I have to do this.
Tighten your anus.
Whoa.
That's Titan's intro music. I didn't play it earlier because I didn't want to disrupt the flow of the thing going on. But I do see you, Titan. And I've got Titan.
The only reason
Titan
why
has an intro music.
The only reason why I'm mad at what you just said, I didn't think of it first. That was fucking brilliant. Proctor and Gamble. That was outstanding. That was a good one.
But what a phenomenal compensation plan. Now, I've got a reputation that is worldwide. I wouldn't do anything to stain or do hurt my reputation.
In 2015, the company was shut down for essentially being a pyramid scheme.
Whoops.
Alex Morton, one of the figureheads for Vemma, later went on to promoting a similar multi-level marketing scheme.
My name is Alex Morton, and I'm the Executive Vice President of iMarkets Live.
Now, who else do you think promotes iMarkets Live, attending and speaking at their conferences?
Mr. Bob Proctor.
Wow, of course.
I believe that's the goal of all thinking people that join the I Am Academy. There's such a phenomenal opportunity here.
But of course, this is no issue to Bob Proctor, as he can continue promoting these schemes whilst charging for his own self-help courses and programs.
You are all, and I am, God's highest form of creation.
That should be a fraud. Calling something a masterclass when you don't, like, you should have something, a recognized thing, like the same way a university needs accreditation.
Right.
Or they're just a diploma mill or whatever. If you call a thing you're offering a masterclass, you should have to have a verifiable thing you're actually teaching.
You would think so.
And he is in his last statement, he was talking about I am and you are the highest manifestation of God or whatever. Hear this. But yeah, this is straight preaching.
You are all, and I am, God's highest form of creation.
God's highest form of creation. It's right there.
Crossing over into religion.
It is religion.
Yeah, it's one page apart. That's it. Whether you say Jesus or Allah or you don't, but it's the same shit.
For all of you wondering, the simplest way to sum up the law of attraction:
get rich using the law of attraction.
On the 17-second manifestation,
you expand your awareness.
Favorite law of attraction and manifesting hacks.
So it's just one payment of $3.99 or 3 installments of $149.
How to manifest a text from a specific person
and how to manifest your significant other.
Manifesting health for the people in our lives.
You want to manifest anything you want into your life.
We'd ask for a video on how to manifest someone.
Attract your twin. Pause the tape. All right, one, I got to get this step in here in the next couple of minutes. Two, it will be the second Matt Dillahunty reference for the day. I remember Matt once talking about when he was on the old school, like as in paper banner behind you, atheist experience. That's how old this is from. And I remember he mentioned to the caller, do you have any idea how much money I could make if I was a little less unscrupulous? I think I said that word right. Matt went from studying to become a pastor to becoming an outspoken atheist. And he said, do you know how much money I could make if I flipped the script, dropped the atheism, and said that I was a believer again? Do you know how booked my talking's get? And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, especially since people have caught on to this whole scam with the apologists. I used to be an atheist. Matt can prove he used to be an atheist if he went that way.
And
he'd be like, I've got 20 years of shows, bitches.
100%. And he said this long before he became the Matt Dillahunty that we kind of know today. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this crap. Then I think about what Matt said. The difference between Matt, people like Matt, and these people, a spine.
Yeah.
You know good and goddamn well words like manifest. It carries a certain weight. It's like when conservatives, you're like, I came out as conservative. Shut the fuck up. Translation, you said you were conservative. And you said it during the Trump presidency. Oh, how hard that must have been for you.
Right.
But the phrase coming out carries a certain weight. They know that. So they're trying to capitalize on it. Using words like manifest, they know that carries a certain weight. And when you use words like manifest, us three, we're just going to click. We're going to close our laptop. But for all three of us, there's three people. They're going to be like, tell me more about manifestation. And that one lady, one easy payment of $3.99. It's almost like, well, where do I send my money? What separates the us's versus the them's is your sense of right and wrong. Because this isn't a secret. You know when you use words like manifest, when you use words like attraction, you know what you are saying.
If I didn't have morals, I'd pretend there was a God and I knew what he wanted you to do and have you give me money to find out. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, let's roll just a little bit more of this, just because I think this part is interesting. We're almost done with this, but it's sort of like the apologetics talking about what's going on now on the social media and then the new media. I guess we call it.
Money scarcity, manifestation, love.
To some, it'll be nothing but a passing fad. And to others, in a more vulnerable and desperate situation, it'll be their last perceived lifeline. A ticket to escaping debt, a ticket to repairing relationships, a ticket to curing themselves of a disease. And we'll see the same pattern repeat itself again and again of those searching for miracles and those selling them.
Because I know I was absolutely broken. It's the only way I can put it into words. I was broken because of my experience.
How much money did you lose in your experience?
All in all, the guts of £10,000.
Wow.
Oof.
I know, it's sick.
And as a single parent, that's got to be devastating.
Devastating is a bit of an understatement.
What is the law of attraction or new thought when you realize that positive thinking, visualizations, meditation, affirmations are all tools that exist separately from this belief system? When we strip away all these tools from new thought, then perhaps you'll see it in a truer light. An unhealthy glorification of positivity with a lack of care for real science, opting instead for anecdotes and unfalsifiable claims. Of course, science isn't able to explain everything yet. The problem of consciousness is a real one. But when I look at New Thought or New Age spirituality in general, it doesn't seem truly interested in these ideas. It instead uses spirituality to promote great dreams and a feel-good message that dumbs down complicated issues like obtaining wealth or disease into metaphysical pseudoscientific concepts. It uses spirituality to avoid harsher realities about the world at large. It is guilty of the just world fallacy, assuming that positive actions will lead to positive consequences, completely ignoring the fact that sometimes those who are optimistic and positive all their lives can be run down and taken advantage of, whilst other individuals who are morally bankrupt advance successfully in their careers with no repercussions. It's easy to fall into New Thought's overly optimistic and naive painting of reality. I know this because I myself have done so. In a video on this very channel, I promoted the works of Eckhart Tolle, and although Tolle's books steer more towards Eastern and Taoist philosophy, I didn't realize that what I was promoting was still a gateway into New Thought. My message here is not that you should abandon your goals, visions, or dreams, but that you should be wary of an industry that uses unfalsifiable claims and an unimaginable amount of pseudoscience to generate millions in revenue. Critical thinking is a skill, and it should.
One, I have that book. Two, I know I have that book because I know his granddaughter.
Really?
Yeah, because back then, before I was jaded, I was like, philosophy kind of interests me. Then I saw what philosophy can turn into, and that's when I was like, fuck philosophy. And he's like, you know who my grandfather is? So I've got no fucking clue. He's like, shut up. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, I know that book. I've read it. I've read it.
Yeah. And it's I guess it's one of the ones that's been big more recently.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Absolutely.
Small world.
Should be honed and practiced. From looking at the New Thought movement's tendency to attract those who have questionable intentions, to its incredibly harmful claims about health and medicine, and its constant habit of victim blaming, it should be met with extreme scrutiny. And a series like this isn't going to stop this ever-growing industry. But my hope is that it gets you to see another side to this belief system, whether you yourself believe in it or whether you know someone who does. Because at some point, I'm certain, you will encounter New Thoughts or New Age spirituality, whether it be on the train home from work, whilst talking to a friend, or scrolling through your social media feed. If this series gets you to do anything in that moment, it's this: to stop and think critically. No matter how vulnerable your situation, to not let someone bypass your reason and logic. To be able to spot when someone is promising you a dream, to spot when someone is presenting you a crumb of truth so that you accept their larger, more extreme claims as truth too. To spot all of this and to be able to see through the illusion. An illusion masquerading as truth, using pseudoscience, spirituality, and a feel-good message as bait.
I don't even know how much of a feel-good message it really is.
And that, my friends, like, brings us to the end of this video.
If your life sucks, it's your own fault. How feel-good is that, really? You know, like you're not praying hard enough. You're a failure. Even with the magic powers I'm offering you, you're still a failure. Otherwise, you wouldn't need my help. Your life would be marvelous. You'd be, you know, on a yacht in the Mediterranean right now, or some fucking crap like that.
I think the feel good comes on the opposite end of that message. In that if you can think your way into the fucked upness, you can think and manifest your way out of the fucked upness. Again, it's like religion. We all deserve to go to hell. That's a real fucked up ass message. Bad. The great news is God murdered his own son just for you. Isn't that great news? And so, yeah, it's like, Well, yeah, you know that 5-year-old that, pretty much starved until they were no longer with us? Yeah, that was his fault. But let me tell you how not to have that happen to you. So they're carrying both the carrot and the stick. And for every one bite of the carrot, they're still hitting you with a stick. So I think the positive part is the flip side of that message. This is really bad, but I can get you out of it. For $399, of course, discounted price.
You know, that could be a course that we could sell, right? We could be like, have you been victimized by New Age thought and manifestation culture? Well, for the low price of $399, we'll help you think your way out of that bullshit and get to a life that you can actually take real action and build yourself.
Wait, that one's kind of good. Like a deprogramming service, that might be like a legit business,
Yeah.
But out there, I promise you, that would work. And that's the sad part. Amway works for a reason. Camp Gladiator works for a reason. Gee, the health and fitness industry, it's not regulated. If you say that right here is a canister of 100% creatine monohydrate, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It could be half sawdust and the other half table salt. I can put the label, and there's no consequences if I don't.
Yeah, just call it a supplement.
Yeah, I'm good to go. We could 100% get paid like a motherfucker if we sat here and did the deprogramming service. I wouldn't participate in it for any kind of money because my parents taught me better. But for the exact same people who sadly bite on this shit, they would also bite on the other part. You spent $399 for, let me tell you something. I like you. I like the way you look. So for $359, for $359, I'll teach you how not to get scammed and become a mark again. $359. Offer's good for the next 10 minutes. What you got? We would give that $359, I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Act now and get the vertical chicken cooker absolutely free.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what that is.
And I think this documentary did a great job of tying those things together. How, they start with literally the promise. They start with the hook. They start with the bait of you can have whatever you want. We can make all your problems magically go away. But they also really showed how it gets tied to spirituality and religion, which is why I think so many of the same people are vulnerable to it.
No question.
And then how it even gets it gets used explicitly by like these multi-level marketing things, because they're going to sell you the same thing. Look, you see that one y'all remember the Mary Kay? You used to sell the Mary Kay makeup. You used to see the pink catalog and the one really Cadillac or the one really successful Mary Kay seller. But that just brought so many people into the idea of, hey, this works. You can achieve this. I can do it. But yeah, it's the same technique. It's the same MO, and a lot of times the same message. A lot of times we could take those messages straight from a motivational guru, stick it straight into the CEO's talk of the multi-level marketing company, and then take it straight to church on Sunday morning. And we really probably wouldn't have to change anything for the same message to just hit in all three circumstances.
Yeah, there's a lot of preachers who just, if you listen to their sermons, they never mention the word Jesus, because it's exactly the same as a life coach talk. They just went from one room to the next to talk to a different audience. It's fucking, it's crazy. And that's one of the reasons that I say that I don't believe there is a non-harmful version of a religion. Like maybe you don't hate, maybe you don't have bigotry and think Democrats need to be punched in the mouth or any of that crap. But by deliberately disabling your own critical thinking, by raising your children to not have a critical thinking ability, it makes them vulnerable to this shit too.
Yes. And I agree with you that there's no such thing as a non-harmful religion. I'm 100% with you.
Same page. Same page.
Yeah. Also, I'm glad we did this too, because we've had a bunch of people in chat throughout the stream who have been involved in these things, either caught up in the motivational stuff or done something multi-level marketing or sort of bought into this at some point. So it is something that I think people in this community have been able to connect with. So I'm definitely glad we did this.
None of us
are above it. Yeah.
And in fact, it's an important thing to keep in mind. The more intelligent you are, the more you have to be wary, because if you think you're too smart to fall for this kind of crap, you're just that much easier of a mark.
You're about to get got. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. We're all
100%. 100%. Well, look, this was awesome. There's a link in the description for Ember's stuff. Make sure you subscribe to Ember's channel if you're not already. Go ahead over there, give him a sub, give him a like, share his channel. That would be even more 100%. Helpful. Otherwise, there's links in the description for me and Uncle Bobby. Ember, thanks so much for doing this, man. Thanks for coming out.
Blast.
This was
blast.
Yeah, this was super fun.
It's always a great time with both of you guys.
Do it
both
again.
together is fucking fantastic.
Let's do it again. I appreciate you being our first affirmative action hire. We can't be racist. We have a white friend. So I would love to have you back. And sooner than later. Sooner than later.
This is awesome. All right, gang, I'm out of here. We got a hot program coming up at 3:30, so go ahead and head over to the Pocket Locker 86 channel or the hot program channel, and we'll see you then. Uncle Bobby, Ember, what else you got? We got anything coming up? You want to let the people know where you're at and what you got coming up?
Oh, geez, all kinds of stuff. At 6, I'm over on Aaron Ra's show, reading Joseph Smith. Do that every Sunday.
Oh, nice. Nice. Big
after
time.
that, I've got a new video coming out, and this is one of my own, take action instead of just hope and pray. I have this video from Nathaniel Jeanson, a PhD who works for Answers in Genesis now, and I called him out and he says on this video, evidence is irrelevant. Creationism is true regardless of evidence. And I'm like, you motherfucker. So I did a video on him. And then I got a fake copyright claim. So I edited the video again and appealed the copyright claim. So they sent more fake copyright claims. And I'm like, you sons of bitches. So I'm on like version 4 or 5 of this video now. And that's premiering tonight after Aaron Ra's show. So far, they haven't taken this one down. And for their sake, they better not, because the next version, I'm just going to take all of Nathaniel's dialogue out and paraphrase what he says. I'll just put a graphic on the screen and I'll record his lines. They do not want that to happen because I will be merciless. So one way or the other, that's coming out tonight. And then because it's a premiere, you'll have the live chat stream so we can interact, we can talk. I love hanging out with live chat. It's my favorite thing. But also, it'll automatically redirect you to Maya Atkinson's channel for Bad Science Sunday tonight.
Yes.
With Bree, Purple Rhymes with Orange, and of course, Dr. Tapioca Weasel.
Yes.
And I believe they're doing Sea Monsters today. And that's a thing everyone should check out.
Yeah, I'll actually be on Bad Science Sunday with Maya next Sunday.
Sweet.
Yeah, so definitely, if you're not already, there's a link to Maya Atkinson's channel also in the description. Go ahead and sub up to Maya. That's going to be fantastic. And check out Bad Science Sunday every Sunday at 9:30. Uncle Bobby, you got anything else? What you got coming up?
Just more shit talking this week. I'm sure I'll find another apologist to run over the coals and my little meat grinder, because that will never stop. That will never stop. That's what I got coming up.
Awesome.
More apologists.
All right. Same thing here. All right, let's get to it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Uncle Bob, you want to sign us off?
All right, gang. Oh, this ought to be a good one. The medium guy and the token. We're signing the fuck off. The blackout. Let's go.